What is up, everybody? My new episode, my new series, Next Gen Console Countdown, where we talk everything about the new systems coming out in the end of the year, specifically the PlayStation 5, PS5, and the Xbox Series X. So this is my dedicated series. This is episode 2 already. And this was a request. And this is one of the most important subjects when it comes to these consoles, is power. Specs, I'm calling this one. We're going to talk about what's under the hood. And we're going to use some Tech Radar info here. Of what kind of specs are we talking about? Because, you know, you gurus and nerds out there and geeks, that's what we are. That's why we do what we do. We live off this shit. We breathe this stuff, right? We eat and sleep this stuff. What kind of tech are we talking about? What kind of power are we going to be running here? You know, can this thing play Crysis? It looks like it can, according to Sony's Mark Cerny. That guy is that guy's a trip and a half. Very smart guy, though. Let's start off with the PS5. Let's start off with the PS5 here. Let's see here. I'm moving my mic over closer. The PlayStation 5 is the next-gen PlayStation console, replacing the PS4 Slim and PS4 Pro, and if you still got an original PS4, that too. Coming out the holiday. We know all this stuff. It will play VR, PlayStation VR, and it will be fully compatible with PlayStation 4. That's what we know of so far. We do not know the cost because they're playing a cat and mouse game between Microsoft, seeing who's going to release the price first. They're going to base it off of that, but they're guessing anywhere from $4.99 to $5.99. That's kind of like the price range right now that people are estimating, these journalists. Okay? Let's talk specs. Let's talk the good stuff. Let's jump ahead here. All right. An 8-core AMD chipset. All right. Solid-state storage system. Backwards compatibility with PlayStation 4 games and PS4 hardware. 3D audio and 8K TV support. So, some big specs there. And important specs. That AMD 1-2 punch of CPU and GPU unlocks the power of ray tracing. So ray tracing is, every generation of consoles has their big, I don't want to say gimmick, but their big like reason to upgrade. Like, what's the big thing? What's the big push? And this generation coming up is ray tracing, right? An advanced lighting technique that can bring next level immersion to gaming visuals. And it says here, it's Hollywood tech that's used in big budget CGI spectacles. So, like, you know, big time like movies and stuff. They can expect that from the PlayStation 5. Ray tracing is enabled by the GPU hardware rather than software levels, Mark Cerny told Wired. There is ray tracing acceleration in the GPU hardware. So, ray tracing is big time. With 8K TV support comes far more detailed, textured, and much more larger scale ones at that. The best solid-state drive will be heartening then, just because the games will be getting more complex. So, basically, from what I'm understanding is that they're trying to eliminate loading screens. That's another big thing with these next-gen systems. They just want the game to be just immersed, like, you know, they don't want to take you out of the immersion of the game with loading screens. They just want you to seamlessly play. And with all this power, supposedly that will be making it happen. So we're gonna see, and then, like I said, the Xbox Series X will be similar. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Physical games for the PlayStation 5 will use 100 gigabyte optical discs. So is this going to have an optical disc, Ultra 4K a drive? an optical drive that doubles as a 4K Blu-ray player, and the next generation hardware will boast a completely revamped UI. Speaking about the new UI, Cerny said, even though it will be fairly fast up to boot games, we don't want the player to have to boot the games, see what's up, boot the games, and see what's up. So, yeah, that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Another thing, too, that games will give you the option to download single player only or multiplayer only or both. That's very interesting to me. That's very interesting. So as a player, just jump right into whatever you like. That's interesting. Having that option and freedom. Very interesting. And then, of course, they have the dev kit, the prototype. Now, oh yeah, and the new DualShock 5. The PlayStation 5 will come with a new controller, according to Sony. The PlayStation 5 controller will include haptic feedback to replace the DualShock 4's rumble technology, designed to improve the controller's feedback and therefore player immersion. Now, what I want to know is if it's going to have that back button attachment built in, or if it's going to come with it. I guess we'll find out. But there's old Ellie there. Right, and then first party game PlayStation 4 games are going to get a bump. They're going to look better. Especially games like Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2. Cross-gen upgrades. Horizon Zero Dawn sequel may be a launch game. New God of War games are in the works, supposedly. Godfall is coming exclusively to the PlayStation 5. So as we know of, that is the only exclusive right now. Alright, let's jump to Xbox Series X. We do know that there will be no exclusives coming to this for at least a year. They will be playable on the Xbox One, and they will also be playable on PC for now. Same time, holiday. Same thing with the price. Halo Infinite is definitely a launch title. And then, of course, you know about the leaks of the pictures that were on Twitter. I was actually one of the first people on there to retweet it. The prototype of the back of the Xbox. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Custom designed processor from AMD, making use of the Zen 2 and the Navi architecture. Listen to this. Twice as powerful than the Xbox One X, which is a fucking beast. So just think of that. Just think of the teraflops. Capable of running games at 120 hertz frame rates. Potential 8K resolutions. Here we go. Ray tracing technology, solid state storage system. Compatible with Xbox One accessories and physical disk drive. So those are the big questions we had about physical media. You know, if they were going to go like the old digital. We know what it looks like. The Tower of Power. There's one of the chipsets there. Microsoft is aiming to get Xbox Series X games to run at 60 frames per second in 4K, calling the challenge a design goal. Well, these new systems should definitely be able to handle that. This generation, we've really focused on 4K visuals and how we're bringing both movies through 4K Blu-ray and video streaming. Phil Spencer explained, and with Xbox One X allowing games to run at 4K visuals, we will make really strong visual enhancements for next generations. not only will games look better, they could be bigger. Solid-state SSD will come as standard in Series X, as with the PS5, which will give it the option of using its storage system as virtual RAM. Now, a GDR5. Now, this is interesting. Here, what I was reading. Let me see if I can find that. Was reading that it could be 6. Oh, here we go. Finally, the benchmark results suggest the engineering samples, listen to this, uses 16 gigabytes of memory, 16 gigs of RAM. So we're talking PC gaming levels here. Though this type of memory is not mentioned, it could mean that the Flute COC shares 16 gigabytes of GDR6 memory between the CPU and GPU in a similar way to how the Xbox One X shares the GDR5. Oh, wow, GDR6 running 16 gig. Just think. Wow. Unreal. I mean, you see, this is a two-way, this is a two-way sword here, because you're wondering, you're thinking like a PC gamer now because you want to keep costs down. But I say fuck it. Make the fucking thing powerful. If the thing's going to have to last you for a long time. What is it? 6-7 years? The life cycle? Fuck it. If you have to charge an extra 100 or whatever, make the fucking thing powerful. That's, you know what I mean? I understand, keep costs down. Fuck that. Make it fucking powerful. Don't, you know what I mean? There's ways to do both, you know? Whoever they get to manufacture the hardware and how they Microsoft is pretty slick. So is Sony. I'm sure there's ways to do things and ways not to. Just to be cost efficient. Now, here's what I was talking about the prototype pictures that were floating around. They were all wondering about what was this port here in the middle. Now, Paul Thurrott, which I actually know personally, I've actually talked to him for years. He was was made popular he was on Windows forums. He writes for Microsoft, but he does a show with Mary Jo Foley. They actually do a Twitch show, This Week in Tech, with Leo Laporte. That's where I know him from. I used to always talk with him on there, and I used to talk with him all the time on Twitter, Paul. Me and Paul would go way back. Paul Thurrott pointed out that this is for expansion storage. They're going to make an actual storage media that actually goes in there, I guess, as opposed to USB hard drives like we're using now. Cost? I don't know. But you could probably throw a 4 or 5 terabyte hard drive in there, I'm thinking. Thurrott claims that the sources familiar with the company's plans have identified the port as being for storage expansion. Microsoft hasn't confirmed this is the case, but we couldn't be surprised if it was seen as external storage was supported with the Xbox One. But whether we see it included in the final Series X product is still uncertain. Dual USB Type-C and HDMI ports, indicating either HDMI pass-through or a dedicated HDMI port for audio out, along with USB 3.0 Ethernet. Interesting. Halo Infinite has been confirmed to be an Xbox Series X launch title, bringing back Master Chief. Not a fan of Halo? Don't worry, Xbox Series X will be capable of 3 generations of backwards compatibility. Microsoft has stated the Xbox Series X will support backwards compatibility from launch, with the company starting at once. Thousands of games that run on Xbox One eventually become playable to Xbox Series X. So pretty cool. That's nice. You have one system sitting on your entertainment center, you know? Multiple systems there. Should be the same with PS5, so that should be good. Things we're doing will blow people's minds. Oh, you see the new Hellblade they showed off. So there you go. There's lots more to read, but I mean, I pretty much wrapped up the good stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm freaking psyched as hell about these systems. I can't wait to find out more as more stuff's leaked out, specifically on pricing, release date, actual, pre-orders, when we can go to GameStop and put money down on these systems. I can't wait. Launch titles, what's gonna actually be out on that day? What can we pick up with the system? Accessories. I'm psyched, man. I'm super psyched. It's gonna be fucking insane. It's gonna be insane covering both systems and their new games. And also, I'm interested, especially with PS4. There's so many great games coming out this year. What's the bump gonna be on the next gen? Like The Last of Us 2, Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil Remake, Watch Dogs Legion. How are these gonna look? Are they gonna get upgrade patches? You know what I mean? Are they gonna re-release them? Like remastered versions? I'm thinking it's going to be similar to how the Borderlands collection was, how it got that 4K texture map bump. We'll see. A lot of questions to be answered. Lots of questions. Time will tell. We're going to find out a lot. Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Take care, and I will see you on the next episode.